think it's only normal that with the loss comes disappointment and being upset, but then again, it's another opportunity.
Alycia Parks delivered a savage insult to an entire nation following an epic comeback, leaving Venus Williams stunned and Melbourne nearly exploding with excitement. Welcome back to Court Eva Tennis, the only channel that goes beyond just reporting tennis. Dissect the drama and expose the chaos. Today, we are witnessing one of the most explosive, jaw-dropping, career-defining moments in Australian Open history. If you think tennis is merely polite applause and pristine white outfits, think again. What unfolded on Court 6 in Melbourne was far more than a match. It was a war, a cultural clash, a moment so brutal, so savage, and so utterly disrespectful that the sporting world is still reeling. Fans rushed barriers, security struggled to contain the frenzy, and all of it followed a comeback for the ages, culminating in the most vicious verbal takedown the sport has ever seen. Control broke down, tension soared, and it took the defeated player herself to prevent an all-out riot. This wasn't tennis anymore, his was gladiatorial combat with a yellow fuzzy ball, and someone had just been thrown to the lions. So grab your popcorn, silence your phone, and brace yourself, because what unfolded was so insane, so perfectly orchestrated by the tennis gods themselves, that if it happened in a movie, critics would call it unrealistic. This is the story of how Alycia Parks became the most hated woman in Melbourne, how Alex Eala emerged as a national hero even in defeat, and how one dropped microphone nearly sparked an international incident. It all began on Monday, January 19, 2026, at the Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of the year. The sun blazed over Melbourne Park, temperatures soaring, but that heat was nothing compared to what was brewing on Court 6. For weeks, the tennis world had been buzzing about one name, one player, one moment that everyone had been waiting for: Alex Eala. The 20-year-old Filipino sensation, the pride of the Philippines, had carried her nation's tennis dreams on her shoulders since she was old enough to hold a racket. This wasn't just another first-round match, his was history in the making. Alex Eala's main draw debut at a Grand Slam. For a country starved for a tennis icon, a nation that had never seen one of its own break through on the sport's biggest stages, Eala represented hope, possibility, and the dream that a Filipino player could stand among the giants of tennis. And the fans showed up. Oh, did they show up? Queues for Court 6 formed before sunrise, hundreds, maybe thousands, naking through Melbourne Park, past Rod Laver Arena, all the way to the outer gates. Fans draped in the red, white, blue, and yellow of the Philippine flag, wearing custom Eala t-shirts, many having saved for months or years just to witness this moment. They didn't come to Australia for a vacation, they came for her, to see their queen claim her throne. By the time the match began, Court 6 had transformed. This wasn't Melbourne anymore. This was Manila, a Philippine fortress planted in the heart of Australia. The atmosphere was electric, crackling with energy and anticipation. Every seat was filled, people packed into the aisles, flags waving as if Olympic gold was on the line. The chants of "Let's go Alex" were so loud, so unified, so deafening, that you could hear them from 3 courts away. This was Alex Eala's moment, her army, her home court advantage in a foreign country. Standing across the net, facing this wall of noise and tsunami of support for her opponent, was the American powerhouse Alycia Parks. Parks hits a tennis ball like she's trying to murder it, wielding one of the biggest serves in women's tennis, capable of aces that would make male players jealous. She is pure power and aggression wrapped in athletic brilliance, and she doesn't play for applause, he plays to win. If you stand in her way, she will run you over without a second thought. But even Parks, as tough and battle-hardened as she is, had to feel the pressure walking onto Court 6 that day. She wasn't just facing Alex Eala, she was facing an entire nation, thousands of screaming fans who wanted nothing more than to see her humiliated and sent back to America defeated. From the very first point, Parks was rattled. Every point Eala won ignited explosions of cheers. Every error Parks made was celebrated as if she had lost the entire match. The Filipino crowd wasn't just cheering for Eala, they were waging psychological warfare, applauding missed first serves, cheering unforced errors, turning tennis etiquette on its head. The atmosphere was spiraling toward chaos, teetering on a genuine safety issue and the brink of an international incident, broadcast live around the world. And then Alex Eala did something extraordinary. Despite just losing, Despite seeing her Grand Slam debut dream shatter, despite every right to be angry and devastated, she noticed the escalating danger. She saw her fans losing control, she saw Parks walking into a potentially violent situation, and she acted. Despite everything, despite the loss, despite the insult, despite all of it, Alycia Eala made a choice. She sprinted to the microphone that Parks had dropped, hands shaking, tears streaming down her face, and shouted over the chaos. Her voice cracked with emotion, but it was strong, commanding. "Stop. Please stop," she yelled. The crowd hesitated. Some people paused, confused. Why was their idol defending the woman who had insulted them? Why was she protecting the villain? Eala stepped forward, physically placing herself between the angry mob and her opponent, who was retreating into the tunnel. Then she delivered a line that instantly went viral, replayed on every sports network around the world, encapsulating everything noble and beautiful about sportsmanship in a single sentence. "I don't want your country to look down on us. Behave with dignity." Absolute chills. Goosebumps. That moment separated good athletes from great ones, competitors from champions. In her moment of deepest disappointment, when she had every excuse to let her emotions run wild, Alycia Eala chose grace. She chose to represent her country with honor, proving that courage isn't just about winning on the court tees, about how you act when the stakes and the pressure are at their absolute highest. She chose to represent her country the right way. Alycia Eala chose to be bigger than the moment. The crowd heard her words, and the change rippled through the stands. Anger began to deflate. People stopped pushing forward. Some fans started crying as they realized their idol was right. They were on the verge of embarrassing themselves and their nation on the world stage. No tennis match, no insult, no comment was worth losing their dignity. Slowly, the crowd calmed, and security finally regained control. The crisis was averted, all because of a 20-year-old who put pride aside and did the right thing. By the time order was restored, Alycia Parks had long disappeared into the locker room, leaving behind controversy and a stadium full of stunned spectators. But Alycia Eala stayed. Even after the heartbreaking loss, the chaos, and the emotional exhaustion, she remained on the court, signing autographs for crying fans, taking selfies with those apologizing to her, and hugging children wearing her jersey. She later told reporters with remarkable composure, "I know a lot of people were rooting for me. Gave it my all. I just hope the support continues. That, right there, is class. That, right there, is what a true champion looks like." The fallout from this match has been absolutely nuclear. Social media platforms crashed under traffic, Twitter became a war zone, Instagram exploded with hot takes, and TikTok dissected every second of the controversy into viral clips. The tennis world is divided. Off the planet, calling Alycia Parks the villain tennis didn't know it needed, a savage competitor who refused to bow to pressure and gave the crowd exactly what they deserved. The fallout has been explosive. Half the world is defending Alycia Parks, saying her responses were justified against a hostile crowd that cheered her errors and celebrated her struggles. The other half condemns her as disrespectful, unsportsmanlike, and cruel, arguing that you never insult an entire nation of fans who traveled across the world to support their player. They say there's a line between competitiveness and cruelty, and Parks crossed it, calling for sanctions, penalties, and apologies. But at the post-match press conference, Parks showed zero remorse. In fact, she doubled down. Sitting with that same defiant smirk, she told reporters, "I don't know what my record is with crowds against me, but it definitely puts a fire in me. I would say I'm good when the crowds are against me." When asked if she regretted her comments, she laughed. "Regret? I won the match. That's all that matters." In declaring herself the villain, Parks has thrown tennis decorum out the window, becoming the most hated player in Melbourne ND. Judging by her reaction, she absolutely loves it. But the moment that crystallized public opinion didn't come from Parks, it came from tennis royalty. Venus Williams, 7-time Grand Slam champion, Olympic gold medalist, and one of the sport's most respected figures, rarely comments on controversies. She felt compelled to speak. Posting on social media about Alycia Eala calming the crowd and preventing a riot, Venus wrote, "This is what a champion looks like. Not the score, but the heart. Eala, you have a fan in me. Pure class." Venus didn't even mention Parks. When one of the greatest players in history recognizes you as a champion, it transcends tennis tees, a validation that will follow Eala for her entire career. Venus didn't even mention Parks in her post. He didn't need to. The contrast was clear. So where do we go from here? Alycia Eala may have been eliminated from the Australian Open, But somehow, impossibly, her reputation has never been higher. She lost the match but won the respect of the entire sporting world. Sponsors are reportedly lining up to sign her, major brands eager to associate with her character and grace under pressure. Invitations to exhibition matches, charity events, and speaking engagements are already pouring in. Her Australian Open debut may not have gone as planned on the scoreboard, but Eala walked away from Court 6 as one of the most admired young athletes on the planet. As for Alycia Parks, she advances to the second round, where she'll face 19th seed Karolina Muchova, a Czech player renowned for tactical brilliance, slices, drop shots, and court craft. Basically the worst possible stylistic matchup for Parks. You can absolutely guarantee every single person in that stadium will be cheering for Muchova. Parks has made herself the villain of the entire tournament, and now she'll have to face the consequences of that role under the spotlight of the tennis world. Every match Alycia Parks plays for the rest of the Australian Open will feel like an away game in hostile territory. She doesn't seem to care. In fact, she thrives on it. She's embraced being the bad guy, leaning into controversy, and effectively turned herself into the heel of a tennis storyline. Part of me wonders if that was her plan all along. Some athletes crumble under negativity. Others use it as rocket fuel. Parks is clearly the latter. Tennis, like every sport, needs villains as much as it needs heroes. We need controversy, moments that make us feel something beyond polite applause. Alycia Parks has delivered exactly that. Whether you love her or hate her, you're going to watch her next match. That's power, relevance, and box office. The 2026 Australian Open has barely started, and we already have a story that will define the tournament. The bagel, the comeback, the insult, the mic drop, the near riot, the peacemaker. A feud that could last for years, with every potential meeting between Eala and Parks guaranteed to be must-watch television. The tennis gods have given us a rivalry for the ages, before these two players have even cemented themselves at the top tier of the sport. And now the debate rages. Whose side are you on? Was Alycia Parks completely out of line, or justified in responding to a crowd that spent 2 hours disrespecting her? Should she face sanctions, or is this just competitive fire we should celebrate? And Alexandra Eala, OES, she deserved more respect than the player who won the match, as the classiest athlete in professional tennis today? Opinions will clash, passions will flare, and that's exactly what makes this saga so compelling. If you want to follow every chapter of this unfolding drama, the next explosive match, Eala's journey to cement her status as one of the most beloved players in tennis, you need to be subscribed. This story has only just begun. Smash that like button if you respect Alexandra Eala's incredible sportsmanship, and hit subscribe to join the fastest growing community in tennis, because the drama, the rivalry, and the unforgettable moments are just getting started. And don't forget to join the fastest growing tennis community on YouTube and smash that notification bell so you're the first to see our next video breaking down the latest developments in this saga. We've got exclusive analysis, expert reactions, and footage you haven't seen yet, you won't want to miss a single second of this unfolding drama. Until next time, Court Eva tennis family, keep your eye on the ball, keep your passion for the game, and when things get controversial, keep coming back here for the real story. This is Court Eva Tennis signing off, reminding you that in tennis, the most memorable moments don't always happen when someone wins. Sometimes they happen when someone loses with grace or wins without it. See you in the next one.
I think both of us are doing actually pretty well, so I know everyone else wants to see like the matchup, but I think it's pretty good to